Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Norma Arisha binti Muhammad Subri and my ID is BGJ240710106. Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about the short story analysis for The Gift of the Magi. The author of this story is O. Henry, whose real name was William Sidney Porter. He is one of America's most famous short story writers. O. Henry is especially well known for his short stories with clever twists, endings, and for the way he portrays ordinary people living ordinary lives. Instead of focusing on rich or powerful characters, he often wrote about simple, everyday people who struggles but also show love, kindness, and sacrifice. This particular story, The Gift of the Magi, is one of his most famous works. It has been read and retold for over 100 years, especially during Christmas time because its message is timeless. Now, let's look at the background of the story. The story was written in early 1900s and set in New York City. At that time, life was very different compared to today. There were no modern luxuries and many young couples lived in small apartments, just like Della and Jim in the story. Life was simple, but also very difficult for poor people. They had to work hard, live modestly, and make sacrifices just to survive. This background is important because it shows why Della and Jim's sacrifices feel so real. When you have very little, even the smallest gifts means a lot. Now, let's move to the plot of the story. It goes like this. Della and Jim are a poor married couple who want to buy each other Christmas gifts. Della sells her beautiful hair to buy Jim a chain for his watch, while Jim sells his watch to buy Della combs. In the end, they realize that their gifts are useless because Della has no hair and Jim has no watch for the chain. But what they both gain is far more meaningful. They prove their love for each other through sacrifice. The story teaches us that the true meaning of giving is not about money or material things, but about the love behind the gift. I find this plot very simple but also very powerful. Even though the story is short, it leaves a strong emotional impact on us as readers. It makes us think more deeply about the meaning of true love. We can ask ourselves, would I be willing to give up my most valuable possession for someone I love? That is a very difficult question because the things we treasure often carry memories, pride, or even part of our identity. Jim and Della show the real love is willing to sacrifice personal happiness for the sake of someone else's joy. This is what makes the story touching. It reminds us that the value of a gift is not measured by how expensive it is, but by the thought, the care, and the sacrifice behind it. A small gift filled with love can mean more than the most luxurious object. And with that, I will now pass it to my friend who will explain the structure more in detail using vertex triangle and also will talk about the settings of the story. And that's all from my part. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Safwa Emily binti Syahrir Anwar. My ID is BTJ2407169. So, thank you Arisha for your explanation just now. Now, as for my part, I will continue by explaining the story structure based on vertex triangle. So, let us begin with the exposition. At the start of the story, we are introduced to Della and Jim, a young married couple who deeply love each other, but unfortunately, they live in poverty. The author sets the scene on Christmas Eve, which is already a very meaningful day. At this point, we learn that Della has only $1.87 to buy a gift for Jim. This amount is so little that she feels very worried and sad because she wants to give him something truly meaningful. As we can see right here, right from the beginning, the author built a sense of sympathy and sets the emotional tone of the story. one that is centered on love, sacrifice, and hardship. Next, let's move to the rising action. Here, the tension starts to grow. Della looks at her long, beautiful hair, which is described as her most prized possession. She treasures her hair so much, but at the same time, she loves James even more. Out of this deep love, Della makes a very brave and emotional decision. She goes to Madame Safronin, a hair dealer, and sells her hair to get money. With this money, she carefully buys a gift for Jim, a simple yet meaningful chain for his watch, which is Jim's most valuable belonging. This part of the story shows us how far Della is willing to go for love, and it makes us curious. What will Jim think? How will he react? And then we reach the climax. So the turning point of the story, when James comes home and sees Della's short hair, he's shocked and cannot believe what she has done. Della worries that Jim might not like her anymore without her hair. But soon, Jim reveals his Christmas gift, which is a set of beautiful combs that Della had once admired in a shop window. The truth is that Jim bought these combs by selling his watch, the very item Della bought the chain for. At this moment, the story surprises us with this dramatic irony. Both of them have sacrificed their most valuable treasures, and yet their gifts are now useless. Like what? And now let's look at the following action. After the shock, both Della and Jim realize the situation. Della cannot use the combs because her hair is gone, and Jim cannot use the chain because his watch has been sold. Here the irony is clear, but instead of feeling disappointed, the couple begins to understand that what really matters is not the gift themselves, but the love and the sacrifice behind them. And then finally, we reach the resolution. Even though the presents cannot be used, the story ends with a powerful message. Della and Jim have shown that love is worth more than material things. Their willingness to sacrifice their greatest treasures for each other reveals the true meaning of Christmas. In other words, the story reminds us that Christmas is not about expensive presents or wealth, but about self-love, sacrifice, and the joy of giving. Now let's move on to the setting. The story takes place in a small, modest apartment in New York during the Christmas season. This setting is not just a background detail, it plays a very important role. It highlights the couple's poverty and simple lifestyle, but at the same time, Christmas represents generosity, sacrifice, and love. So, this contrast shows us something powerful. Even though Della and Jim have very little money, they are rich in love and devotion. Their apartment may be small, but the emotions within it are big and meaningful. So, as we can see, the environment and the season are closely connected to the theme of the story. Without the Christmas setting, the sacrifice might not feel as significant, but because it happens on Christmas, the story strongly reminds us of the true spirit of the holiday, love, giving, and selflessness. And now, my friend will continue by explaining the characters and the conflicts in the story. Thank you for listening to my part. I hope this helped us all understand the beauty and the deeper meaning of the gift of the Magi. Bye everyone, thank you!
Thank you to Safa and Melin. Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Nur Adila Fasha binti Abdul Latif. My ID is BGJ24070122. For my part, I will explain the characters and the conflicts in the story The Gift of the Magi. First, let's look at the main characters. The most important character is Stella. She is loving and selfless wife. We can see this when she sells her long beautiful hair so that she can buy Jim a gift. This shows that her love is greater than her concern for herself. Della is also emotional and brave. She cries at the beginning because she only has $1.87, but later she gathers the courage to make a big sacrifice for Jim. Next is Jim, Della's husband. Jim is also caring and selfless. He sells his most precious possession, which is his gold watch, to buy a set of combs for Della's hair. This shows that, just like Della, he values love over maturities. Jim also represents a man who is responsible and hardworking, but at the same time he struggles because his job does not give him enough money. We also have a minor character, Madame Sophronie, the hair dealer. She is described as cool and businesslike. She does not show emotion. She just buys Stella hair quickly and without much kindness. Even though her role is small, she is important because she helps to create the turning point in the story. Now let's discuss the conflicts in the story. The first one is the internal conflict, which is character versus self. Della feels torn between keeping her beautiful hair and wanting to give Jim a meaningful gift. She struggles with sadness and insecurity about her poverty, but her love for Jim pushes her to make the sacrifice. Similarly, Jim also faced his own internal struggle when deciding to give up his gold watch, which is his pride. The second type is the external conflict, which is character versus society. Jim and Della live in poverty and they cannot afford expensive gifts. At Christmas, society expects people to exchange presents and they do not have enough money to follow this tradition. This conflict with social expectations shows us how hard life is for them, but also how much they are willing to give despite their situation. This story also makes me reflect on real life. Even though Jim and Della lived more than 100 years ago, their struggles are still relatable today. Many people still face financial difficulties, but the story teaches us that love is not measured by how expensive a gift is. Instead, it is shown through the willingness to sacrifice and care for each other. In the end, a small sacrifice can mean a lot when they come from the heart. And now I will pass to the next member to talk about the point of view and the themes of the story.
My name is Muhammad Imandana bin Abdullah and my ID number is BGJ 2407 10087. Thank you. Now, I will explain the point of view and the themes of the gift of the Magi. Let's begin with the point of view. The story is written in a third person point of view. This means the narrator is not a character in the story, but he knows everything. The thought, feeling, action of both Jim and Della. For example, the narrator tells us how Della feels desperate and worried when she counts her money and realizes she only has $1.87. Later, the narrator also describes Jim's quiet reaction when he sees Della's hair cut short. This type of narration is very effective because it allows us to connect emotionally with both characters. We can clearly see how much they care for each other, and it also made the twist ending more meaningful. If this story was told from only Della or Jim's perspective. Now, let's move on the themes of the story. O. Henry used this simple love story to deliver powerful life lesson. Number 1. Love and sacrifice. The strongest theme is that true love requires sacrifice. Della sacrificed her beautiful hair to buy a gift for Jim, and Jim sacrificed his precious watch to buy a gift for Della. Even though the gift cannot be used, their willingness to give up what they value most show how deep their love really is. This theme teaches us that love is not about receiving, but about giving. Number 2. The true spirit of giving. The story also teaches the value of a gift is not measured by a price, but the thought and care behind it. Della and Jim did not give expensive presents, but their gift carried deep meaning because they came from the heart. This reflects the real spirit of Christmas, which is about love, kindness, and selfless giving, not about material wealth. Number 3, the last one. Wealth is not measured by money. Another theme is that being rich does not always mean having money. Jim and Della are poor in terms of material things, but they're rich in love, loyalty, and values. In fact, their sacrifice made them wisest of all, like the Magi from the Bible who gave meaningful gifts to baby Jesus. This shows that emotional worth is far more valuable. Altogether, this theme reminds us that the greatest gift we can give are not physical objects, but love, time, and sacrifice. That is all from me about the background of the author and the plot of the gift of the Magi. Before I end, I just want to highlight why this story is still meaningful today. Even though it was written more than 100 years ago, the message about love and sacrifice is still very relevant in our daily life. We can see sometimes people measure love by money or material things, but this story teaches us that true love is about giving and caring for each other. So, for my part, I hope we can all reflect that love is not about how much we spend, but how much we are willing to sacrifice for the people we care about. Now, I will pass to the next presenter to continue with the analysis.
Hi and Assalamualaikum everyone. I am Noraida Hazika binti Jamaluddin and my ID number is BGJ2407114333. Now, I will explain about the symbolism, literary devices, and the conclusion for the short story The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. Now, let's talk about symbolism. So what is symbolism? Symbolism is when an object, character, or action represents a deeper meaning. In this story, O. Henry uses symbolism to show love, sacrifice, and selflessness. So I will give you two main symbols. For the first one, we have Della's hair. Della's long, beautiful hair is described as her pride and glory. However, she chooses to cut it and sell it to buy Jim a Christmas gift. So, this hair symbolized that her love and willingness to sacrifice something valuable for her husband's happiness. It also showed that true love is not about appearance, but it is about caring for each other. My second point is Jim's watch. Jim's gold watch is his most precious possession passed down from his father and grandfather, but Jim also sacrifices it by selling the watch to buy combs for Della's hair. The watch symbolizes time, tradition, and value, but it also highlights Jim's selflessness. Together, Della's hair and Jim's watch show us that material things are less important than love. Next, let's talk about literary devices. For the first one, we have irony. The biggest device in this story is situational irony. Della sells her hair to buy a chain for Jim's watch, but Jim sells his watch to buy combs for Della's hair. So, this twist is unexpected but meaningful. Even though their gifts become useless, the irony shows how much they truly love each other. For the second one, we have allusion. The title The Gift of the Magi refers to the three wise men in the Bible who gave valuable gifts to baby Jesus. By comparing Jim and Della to the Magi, O. Henry shows that the greatest gift is selfless love, not material wealth. So, to conclude everything, the gift of the Magi teaches us an important lesson about love and sacrifice. Jim and Della's gift may seem wasted, but their actions show that true love means giving without expecting anything in return. Through symbolism, irony, and other literary devices, O. Henry reminds us that the real value of a gift comes from the heart, not its price. So that's all from us. Thank you!